Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You're always most welcome. Well, today we're going to be reviewing another ICM kit from our friends in the Ukraine, and it is the latest version they've just released of the AH-1G Cobra attack helicopter late production. Now, the main thing that distinguishes this from the early version, which I have done a review on and I'll put a link, is that there was some concern in the Vietnam War as time progressed that some of these helicopters have been taken down by heat-seeking missiles because they had this great big turbojet engine, and of course it had a very hot exhaust coming out of the back, and these missiles were able to lock onto it. So what they did is, I'll show you, I'll zoom you into this picture on the box art. Look very carefully. You can see the back of the engine has got this extension ducted exhaust in the sort of copper colour, which ducts up the heat. Instead of it going backwards, it is ducting it straight up into the rotor blades. So if you think about it, those rotor blades turning at very high revolutions are distributing that heat very, very rapidly indeed away from it, and so it doesn't give anything like the same heat signature. It minimises it completely, really. Quite a simple and clever solution. I think it works particularly well in the helicopter, doesn't it? They can get away with that. Probably gives them a little bit of down thrust as well. It probably gives them a little bit of upward pitch, I think, towards the front. But I'm sure that they trimmed around to the systems they have. They would trim around to compensate for that. So this is the main thing. One or two of the minor tweaks on the aircraft as well. But anyway, let's get into the kit. So it's kit number, just released, 2023 production, and it's number 53031, and we have no less than 5 variants that are available. I'm just going to put my light in here. 5 different options on the colour schemes here, which is nice. Whoops, there we go. Bit too much there we are. Yes, and we've even got one that looks like it's from Apocalypse Now. I'll get into that one later. And then on the side we've got a little bit of history, so I'll just read that too, if I may. It says the AH-1G attack helicopter, the Cobra, was developed by the company Bell Helicopters as part of the programme to create a specialised attack helicopter. In the fall of autumn 67, it became used in Vietnam and began its tour of duty there, where it demonstrated high combat qualities. To defeat ground targets, the helicopters used both built-in weapons, including a 6-barreled machine gun, a grenade launcher, and suspended units of unguided missiles. Suspended machine guns also on the sponsons, and later a 6th-barrel 20mm gun, which is, I think, depicted at the front here. Its firepower allowed hitting even armoured targets. Over time, it received a number of improvements, including measures to counter surface-to-air weapons, including missiles that had thermal guidance. For this, the cooling of the engine exhaust gases was used. So they actually had a cooling system. Oh yeah, you can see there's extra vents. Okay. So they cooled the exhaust gases and had a special pipe was installed on the choppers which diverted the hot gas upwards into the plane of the rotation of the main rotors. After the end of the war, the helicopters continued their service in units stationed in Western Europe. Very interesting. Right, well, we've got our trusty knife. Without further ado, I think we should get into this one. She's just arrived with me at lunchtime. Says, let me get in. We've got lots and lots of tape to protect it as usual. Now what I'll do, because we have reviewed the Cobra before, I won't make this too long, because I'll try and focus if I can mainly on the areas that are new, because that'll be more interesting for the viewers, I think. Now then, this is where my gloves come in handy, because they do enable me to get a good grip to try and open the almost impenetrable ICM boxes. It's not a bad thing. Oh, it's like it's only half full. It doesn't seem to be all that many screws, actually. I'm sure there's enough. Right then, So, pop that over there, see what we've got. I think first of all we'll probably have paint call out and some decals, so we'll look at them first. Okay. I think we'll go with the decals. Oh, look at the, oh yes. We've got shark's mouth, we've got cutlasses, everything you need for a Vietnam helicopter. So look at this. Look at those shark's mouth, they're very aggressive. And then we've got the cutlasses, like you saw in the Vietnam squadron helicopters in Apocalypse Now. Bushwhackers, one of the squadrons here. Some really nice. Is this made by ICM themselves? I think it is. It doesn't really say where it's made, so I'm taking it it's made in the Ukraine. Lovely instrumentation there, and don't forget you have this tandem style cockpit on this helicopter, where the weapons officer, stroke navigator, and the pilot sit one in front of the other, and the pilot sits at the back. Incredibly, weapons guy at the front. Lots of little stencils, as you can see. Nice ones, very nicely figured, and there's minimal carrier film. There's no overlapping carrier film that's excessive at all. Yeah, that's pretty nice, I'd say. Oh yeah. And then you've got the Cobra at the bottom. Look at the Cobras. Oh, we like that. Very nice decals indeed. That's a great start. Looking good. And of course we also have the colour guide, and it's basically olive green that you need for this one. Not much else to say really. So, bring you out. Sorry about that. Let's get started. Let's get this party started. Yes, it's the same write-up on the front as they normally do. Now it has got different tail design on this one, so there is a couple of parts that you don't use because that's from the earlier variant, and the same I think on the stabiliser planes at the back, and one or two other parts to do with the landing skids are different here. Various other parts to do with the rotors I think are slightly different as well. And then we get into the build, so we have our cockpit. This is the tandem cockpit you're going to build up. I think they had armour plated seats in these, and they damn well needed them. And then we've got the weapons controller yoke here. So the weapons controller, the navigator sits at the front, as I say, and the pilot sits behind him. And you've got a little control stick, like a joystick, for aiming the weapons, which is there. And then you're building up your instrument panel, two of them. And then we start to build up your engine, complete with its transfer gearbox. There's some helicopter terminology I'm not very familiar with, swash plates and all that sort of stuff. You know, I think that's the swash plate. We'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, you're building up this the main gearbox that's coming out of the engine housing, and then you get to the swash plates system here. Building up the side of your fuselage, a couple of holes to drill there. Looks fairly straightforward. You've got your tail rotor going on here. Looks like it's got some nice detail on it. And then you've got your engine, which looks incredibly compact, it has to be said. And that's going in just directly behind the cockpit, putting your cockpit tub into the side of the fuselage, and then you've got your exhaust here going in, and then you've got the main windows starting to be built up here. Nose section going on. Then we've got underside of the main fuselage with the armour plating going in, a couple of antennas. This is where it starts to get interesting now. So then you're building up your the front section where you've got all your weapons, a couple of intakes there. Then you've got your gun and cannon pod, rotating turret, the radio controlled turret that it is here. You've got a light as well that's going in, and you've got these little sponsons that go on the side that carry the weapons, with pylons for a variety of weapons we'll get to. Then this is where we get to this unique part about the late version, where you've got this ducting for the exhaust that's going to blow the hot exhaust straight up into the rotor blades. Yeah, I don't know if that was good at low speed. It probably cooked the rotors, I imagine. I suppose they didn't get that hot until they got at speed, so it was okay because they'd be rotating fast then. And you got your 6-barrel cannon. It's a bit like a GAU cannon, isn't it? That. It would be nice for that to be printed in. I would say to ICM, one thing they could improve here is just to say what the weapon is. Always good to know. I don't know whether we're going to get a build video for this from ICM. I hope we do. That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Quite a long one though. You know, one of these stop motion type things. They're very, very good. The ones they do are fantastic. Anyway, then you've got your weapons pods going in. The GAU cannon that is slung underneath another GAU type cannon. That's a huge looking Gatling gun, isn't it? Electric Gatling cannon. Wow! It's going to go underneath there. It's really carries some heavy duty hardware, this one. And then we've got pylons going in for those sponsons. You've got those tail stabilisers, fins on the side going in. Your skids, landing skids going on there. And then you've got your cockpit canopy. Just trying to remember if it's an ejector seat in these. Is it an ejector seat? Didn't check that at the beginning, did we? No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's an ejector seat now. Anyway, you've got your side glass then going on here for the actual cockpit canopy area. Got that cannon on the side. It looks absolutely wicked, doesn't it? Oh, really wicked. Then we've got the side glass going on, these great big windows that prop up and you actually get in sideways into these choppers. Amazing aircraft, aren't they, the Cobra, it really is. Then you've got an engine cover, and it looks like there are 2 variants with different types of intakes on them. We talked about that, about the modified cooling of to cool the exhaust system, try and reduce the heat signature. And then, same on the other side here. Optional different covers, cowlings. Then you've got your big rotor blade going in, and your swash plate, the gimbling plate, and support, support driver, the pitch rotor control system, rotor pitch control system, I should say. And then you've got the actual blade going on there. Then we've got some landing wheels. Wheels and tyres when you're landing on concrete, tarmac areas, and then you've got there's actually a towing hook here, so it can be towed when it's on the ground, almost like a dolly type setup, isn't it really? And then we've got templates. Be a little bit wary of the templates because we have. Yeah, I try and get aftermarket templates would be my recommendation with these because I'm not quite sure whether they're completely accurate. You can always check that by cutting them out, of course. Then you've got your little pepper pot rocket pod. You've got an SU-11, which is, I think, is a Vulcan cannon, isn't it? Vulcan gun. And then you've got an M260 launcher. And then you've got these that look a bit like Zuni rockets, the XM158. And then you've got those in detail showing their colourings and the different loadout options that you can have there. So, there we have it. And then we have all the different colour callouts for the different versions. And here we've got one that's at Kwai Lao in 71. The other one here at Vin Long, the Bushwhackers. Then we have Summer of 72, based at An Son. These are the guys that have got the Cobra's head on them and the shark's mouth as well. It's a cobra and a shark, quite a nasty creature. And then we've got Chu Lai in the autumn of 72, and then on the back, my personal favourite, which is Mainz Frinton, autumn 73. Mainz Frinton, I'm pretty sure, is not in Vietnam, unless I'm missing something. Sounds like that might be in Germany to me, but anyway, there we go. probably on secondment or loan to go to Vietnam, but I don't know the geography. So there we go. Anyway, very similar in many ways to the earlier kit that I reviewed, earlier version, but looks good. And it's something like that. I think it got 9.5 out of 10 from memory, so I'm doubting this is going to be a whole lot different. These kits are really nice, and ICM now to make a helicopter kit very well. Both this and the Bronco scored very high marks from me in this scale. Well, I say in this scale, actually, I'm forgetting it. Should make a point about that, actually. So this is, in fact, of course, a kit that's at 35th scale, which I'm forgetting to mention to you, actually. So it's not quite the same as the Bronco, which is 48th. So this is intended to be, obviously, like a lot of helicopters, at 35th scale, to be the same scale as figures and armoured vehicles, which is why it's so utterly huge. So let's get into it. Quite a lot of kit for your money. I think this is retailing for about the £45 mark, thereabouts, in the UK. Let's have a look there. Now then, what we have here is pretty much what you expect. Some beautiful plastic with a really nice sort of satin feel to it. ICM's plastic does take the paint really well, I've got to say. Some beautiful detailed rivets here all the way up to the tail. You've got vent grills. That's very, very nice. And here we've got the back bulkhead behind where the pilot sits, with this sort of checkered sort of finish, padded. I think it's actually armour plated behind there, actually. That's very nicely done, isn't it? Look at that. And then you've got these cockpit tub itself, maybe a little bit softly moulded on those switch gears, I don't know, but not bad at all. Beautiful finish on the fuselage though, look at that. Those rivets are just something to behold, aren't they? It feels so nice as well. They've got that really, really spot on. Completely access panels near the front, all very nicely done. Well, that's a great sprue for starters. So we're off to an excellent start with that one. I'll just zoom you back out for a second. That, isn't it massive though? It's not a small kit, this. I was going to say, I think I might build this, but I'm not sure where I would put it. Yeah, struggling a bit for space, and this is a bit of a monster. And if you think this is big, wait till you see the TAR Sky Crane, which is coming soon. Ooh, absolute behemoth of a helicopter, that one. Right, so that's that one done. Pop that over there out of the way. Then we've got all these other parts, including all the optional skids, landing skids, which you can see down here. And two variants there. Yeah, I'm not sure what the difference is, apart from it's just the support. On this one it's got much thicker supports, stays. Then over here you've got your latest late model exhaust pipe that ducts the hot exhaust gases up into the propeller blades and therefore disperses the heat. Here you've got the underside of the main cockpit fuselage area. Then you've got all these different variants of the fins, and there are two variants. You can use one of these, one pair I should say. We have the actuator arms there at the top for the rotors, and then we've got engine here, and then some quite small parts including things like pylons here and various parts of the lower cockpit floor. And this is the like the bottom of the swash plate arrangement, isn't it, here? Again, lovely sprue, no flash, gorgeous details. Look at the panel line detail here and the riveting. absolutely lovely. There's nothing wrong with that sprue. Another good one. Pop that back in there. Just excuse me one moment. Right back with you. And then, ta-da, when we've got some of the real business end of the helicopter, so you've got the actual rotor blades, the main rotor blades themselves, which as you can see are pretty hefty. Look at that. Not a huge amount of detail on them, but there is some riveting. Good detail at this end, of course, where the strengthening plates are. I'll say strengthening plates. They're actually balance plates. They're there to balance the blade, and they take them out, and they're like a shim, really, as you can see. See the fine detail on those? And then you take them out, and if they get out of balance, you have to re-shim them, and you end up with a more balanced blade that way. And that's what they're all about. It's not so much for strength; it's more for its balance. If it was for strength, there wouldn't be so many of them, of course. They just have bigger and thicker ones. Well, this is what it is. It's almost like a balance weight. Then you've got this alternative choice of the vents, the intake vents that cool that engine exhaust. And then we've got these, again, these alternative, as I mentioned, these alternative parts for the fins, the stabiliser fins on the fuselage. Then you've got the nose. And here, where my thumb is, you've got the gun turret that goes underneath, cannon and the machine gun turret. That's grenade launcher, I think, isn't it? Grenade launcher and 6-barrel cannon. And then here we've got these mighty large the tailplane section, where the tail rotor comes out. Tail rotor comes out here, obviously. Very nice indeed, actually. Another nice sprue, and again we've got, see more detail here, we've got the tail rotor itself, and again it has these balancer shims to ensure it's perfectly balanced, and that would be checked probably every couple of days, you know, routine maintenance, making sure that if it gets hit by gunfire or any damage, that can throw it out of balance, and they need to change these plates here would need to be changed to it's like wheel balancing on a car, basically. That's the idea. So there we go. So that's quite another rather nice sprue. Flawless so far, isn't it? And I think it's just going to get better, actually, if I'm being honest. We're now getting into some of the really interesting detail parts. That I'm going to make our mouth water a little bit, I think. A little bit of trouble with my bag again. Bear with. There we go. Right. Now then. Okay, now this is a duplicate sprue, so we can ignore one of them. But look at the detail here. Look at these parts. They are going to make your mouth water. Look at the beautiful rendering here. How fine they are. Little tow hooks here. This is part of that towing system. Tow rods that goes on the front. And then you've got the GAU cannon, multi-barrel cannon here. Look at that. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, they've done that well. And there's the actual muzzle, multiple 6-barrel muzzle. That is superb. Yes, we like that. I like that. And then we've got various parts of the weapons. We've got the back here of those multiple pepper pot rockets, and then we've got the sort of Zuni style rocket here. Not sure they're actually Zuni rockets, but they're very similar. And here's the nose of the pepper pot with all the actual little warheads sticking out. Aren't those nice? Yes. That's really, really impressive. Nice moulding. And look at these other ones, the smaller ones that we've just been talking about. Again, the rear and the front of them. The rear has got the little tabs on which you pull out for making them live. When they're about to take off, they take them all off to make them live weapons. And then we've got lots of tiny parts, various control actuators, parts of the engine system, and then you've got part of the undercarriage system underneath. You have I'm trying to recognise. You've actually got the control. See that here? This is the control. What do you call it? The yoke control, which is actually used by the pilot. I think that is for. And incredible. By the way, this cannon is the one that's slung underneath one of the sponsons, and there's what looks like a smaller one over here, which I think is the one that goes in the little turret, remote control turret. But just look at the details here. Look at the tiny little parts, and no detail has been spared. It's just beautiful, really, and it's Tamiya-like, isn't it? Really. And you can argue that it's sort of very like some of the Far Eastern manufacturers like Great Wall Hobby, people like that. But this comes with more legible instructions and more, perhaps a little bit easier to follow. As I said, there was one or two things in the instructions I just like a little bit more clarity on, but maybe if they produce a video for this, which is possible, I think, very possible. I do hope they do, because that would make it really great. It's just what it needs. So that's all the grey plastic, in fact, that we've been through. And that goes in there, it says, hopefully. Won't be that easy. There we go. And that just leaves the clear parts. I think you'd have fun building this. I think it's a nice chopper. Always like the Cobra. I got the Matchbox one, but I never built one. What did I? I can't remember. I'm sure I had it before, but I think I may have swapped it for something else. Don't ask me why. Anyway, here we go. We've got the clear parts, and these ones look just gorgeous, actually. We did see a slightly iffy clear parts on the Ural truck recently, which had us a bit worried about the clear parts, but I think that was not such a new moulding from ICM. I can't see any issues here, really. That's just lovely, you know. You can see the profile there, can't you, of the Cobra's very sporty looking design of the cockpit, basically like a sports car, isn't it, really? Yeah, and there's maybe some tiny distortion, but we're talking about quite a complicated shape to mould here. You know, you've got it doing several complex curves here going on at the same time. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's a really nice clear sprue. I think that we have a winner here. This is a very, very nice kit, and it's a little bit more exciting in terms of its weapons loadout than the original version, and it's got that additional sort of trunking for the exhaust, so it's got a lot going for it. If you pick that up for under £50, I think you've done okay. So, final verdict then, tricky one. I like it very, very much. I do like it very, very much. There's not much you can find any fault with at all there, really, I'm afraid. It's well, not afraid, I'm delighted. Wrong word. So, yeah, it's a really nice package. I think again, I need to go back into the box. Is that everything? Yeah, plenty of room in that box. It's almost a bit too big, really. That's the beauty of not having wings, I suppose. There's a bit less plastic needed. So, I am most impressed with that kit. I think that's probably, along with the Heinkel, it's got to be the most impressive of the ICM kits that have sent me so far. The late production version of the AH-1G Cobra from Bell, made by ICM. I'm going to give that 9.5 out of 10. Apart from some misgivings about some of the details in the instructions, minor complaints, tiny really. But very, very clear, beautiful plastic, flash free, big, meaty, nice decals. Really cracking kit, that one. I commend that to you. 9.5 out of 10 from me. Hope you'll give me 10 out of 10 with a thumbs up, with a like. And don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe to my channel to get to see all the other things, and there's many. We've got 600 videos, so you'll find something. If you're interested in modelling, chances are you're going to find something that interests you in there. We've got a little bit of everything. We've got cars, and we've even got a ship or two, and we've got helicopters and tanks and aircraft, and you name it, really. You name it, all sorts of things. Even got a hovercraft in there somewhere. So lots to see, plenty to enjoy. Thank you to ICM for providing this kit. And as I said before, if anybody's interested in maybe getting their hands on that and making a donation to Ukraine, all I charge you is for just the cost for posting it to you and nothing else. So we can talk about it. So the problem I'm having now, of course, is that I'm getting quite a few of you coming forward, and it's a bit of a dilemma, because what do? Do I give it to the first person that asked, or do I put them in a hat? Or it's tricky because not everybody can watch it live, and it sort of it skews things a bit. I think it's probably fairest if I put all the people that are interested in any given kit, I'll put their names in a hat. Anyway, just drop me a message and contact me if you're interested. Other than that, thank you very much for joining me. Please don't forget to ding the notification bell if you haven't already. Those of you that are subscribers, it's always worth re-dinging it just in case, to be honest. And until next time, I'm sure there'll be lots more to see in the not too distant future, not least from ICM, because I know they have others they intend to send me, which are going to be really interesting, and one of them's a real monster of a kit, and that'll be very interesting to see. So thank you to them for their generosity. All the best wishes go to them. Thank you to all of you who've taken the trouble to watch the video. Hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. And in the meantime, until next time, thanks a lot, look after yourselves, and bye for now.